I think you're doing some wonderful things. But for our audience, could you tell us how did being a nutritionist sort of happen and how it's been going so far?
Yeah, for sure. So, first off, yes, I am a nutritionist and I've helped people with primarily just improving their overall lifestyle, improving their habits so that, they can just overall have a better quality of life. And also, most of them have like fat loss, body recomposition goals. And that's what I really help with, while also helping them, build a better relationship with food because I feel that's very important for most people. Um, so yeah, that's what I do. And just a little bit about how I got here in the first place is one, I was an overweight kid for most of my life, and just I think towards like maybe 12th grade, I lost a good amount of weight. And at that time, I had no idea about nutrition really. So I was not doing it the right way. Yes, I was going to gym, I was training everything, but at the same time, I was not fueling myself enough. I was not, eating enough food. I was under eating. And, there was, I mean, if those of us who are in our 20s and 30s now, we've all grown up with this idea that skinny is what is healthy and fit, right? Because we grew up in the age of Victoria's Secret models and, all those where looking really skinny is what was considered fit, right? So that's, we
Right.
always wanted to be as skinny as possible. So that's really where my, that's really where I was coming from. So I dropped about 10 kgs and I had become quite lean. And it was great for some time, but I hadn't healed my relationship with food. So there was a lot of guilt around eating food. There was no balance in the way I was approaching things. And so afterwards, after post my boards, when I joined college, my college was a little away from the city. So also I studied architecture and not nutrition. So I did go to college for architecture. We'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, so when I went there, there was no gym. There was no, like, it was only there in the men's hostel, guys hostel, and not in the girls hostel. So I had literally no access to a gym or any sort of place to work out. And the nearest gym was like an hour away by bus because I didn't have my own vehicle at the time. So yeah, it was just very inaccessible for me. And the food also was not great, the one that you get in the mess. Additionally, there was a lot of stress, lack of sleep, everything involved. I think anybody who's done architecture will relate to that. So with all of that coming in the next 5 years of college, I put on 25 kg. So I lost 10 kg to become all, like fit or healthy or whatever at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I put on more than double of that across the next 5 years. So of course, that took a huge hit on my health, of course, because there was a lot of things were not, optimal with respect to my health. I had completely stopped working out. I was eating out a lot because we didn't have the time to cook either. So those things were there as well. And besides that, just my confidence had dropped significantly. How I looked at my body, I used to, sort of feel very uncomfortable being me to a huge extent because, I used to be athletic and I used to be an athlete in school and all of that as well. So I completely stopped that. So it was just very uncomfortable for me for the first couple of years. And then I decided to like sort of get back into working out post my college. Then pandemic hit, and then again we were just sort of stuck at home, and I didn't have access to a gym again. And I love cooking, so it was pandemic was just about like sort of a lot of cooking experiments, trials, and everything. So just it was again not optimal in terms of my food or my exercise or anything. So again, I was not in the best shape. So post that, so I did do architecture for 5 years, and post which I mean, I did not enjoy the course at all, and I was always a little interested in health in general, but 10 years ago there was no scope really for something like nutrition, right? So post architecture, I actually decided to work as a chef for some time. It's been probably 2.5 years now or 2 years now since I actually got back on my fitness journey, and I moved back to Bangalore post the pandemic. And yeah, then I joined the gym. I sort of started training and everything. And I had already had my nutrition first certification even when I was a chef because I was very interested in this space, but I was not pursuing it really. But then, when as I started with my own journey into health and then understanding my relationship with food and, where my own guilt around food, binge eating, stress eating, emotional eating, all of this comes from. I did not feel very comfortable working in a space where, I mean, I was sort of catering to that same, um, that kind of sort of a lifestyle where, processed food is so easily accessible and stuff like that. And I wanted to help more people who are dealing with the same thing that I am. And that's sort of what led me to becoming a nutritionist. So yeah, over the last 2 years, I've been practicing as a nutritionist, a little more than 2 years now. And yeah, I've just been very, very glad and very blessed to be able to help people who, and I relate with it very much because it can affect your mental health, it can affect your physical health, your relationship with your body, your your level of like how much you socialize, and everything is related to how you feel about yourself. So I've been very grateful and fortunate to be helping a lot of people just feel better in their bodies. So yeah.
Namita, to set the stage, could you tell me what does hormonal balance really mean for women? And
Yes.
why is it really like a cornerstone for overall health for us?
Yes. So hormones are essentially the body's chemical messengers, right? And they help in regulating a lot of different things in the body, whether it's your metabolism, your mood, energy levels, reproduction, blood sugar levels. There are so many different things that it helps regulate. So they are very essential to the body. And therefore, it is very important that there's hormonal balance. Hormonal balance really just means that all the hormones are functioning well and are at the right levels, right? So whenever there is a imbalance, it means that there is some improper functioning of the hormones, or the levels of the hormones are not right, and that can lead to a lot of different issues, whether it's like some of the more common ones that we know: insulin, cortisol, estrogen, testosterone, right? These are some of the more common hormones that we hear of. And insulin resistance is something that's becoming very common. Type 2 diabetes is very common nowadays in India. All of this is happening due to hormonal imbalance. Same thing with something like people suffering from low estrogen, people suffering from severe stress. It can increase their cortisol levels, which can again lead to a bunch of different issues. So these are all hormonal imbalances that are happening.
So, what are some signs that might indicate that a woman's hormones are out of balance? And when should we like seek professional advice for the same?
Right. So, firstly, hormonal imbalance can happen due to a lot of different things. So, to some extent, it can be genetic, it can be due to medical conditions and things like that. But to a large extent, it can be due to the lifestyle that we're living. And therefore, if not completely reversed, we can manage a lot of, different hormonal imbalances through an improved lifestyle, right? So, like I said, lack of sleep, stress, lack of exercise, excessive body fat, all of these things can contribute to poor hormonal health and worsen. If there is certain genetic predisposition, it can worsen things as well, right? So um, how do you know when your hormones are out of balance? This does depend on the hormone, honestly, because it's not the same symptoms for everything, but there are a lot of overlapping symptoms. And one of the more important ones that we as women can look at is when our menstrual cycle is out of whack, right? So that means that there's definitely something that's uh, something going on inside that we need to address. So this is again things that in today's world, because of just partly due to the lack of knowledge around it, because we are not taught these things also, we don't tend to give it that much importance. But it's very common to see women these days missing their periods, sort of having very delayed periods as well, where the timings of the cycle have a drastic difference,
Yeah.
or whether it's severe PMSing. PMS has become so normalized, and while it's normal to have some level of discomfort and things, extreme mood swings and things like extreme pain, cramping, all of this is also not normal for most women. So these are all signs that something might be up, and there is something to sort of look into. And additionally, outside of this, also just sudden changes in your weight, whether it's a sudden increase or decrease in your weight, that can be due to either an insulin or a thyroid dysfunction. It could be due to that. Additionally, with a lot of women, when they experience things like acne, hair loss, mood swings, excessive fatigue, all of this can also be indicators of something going on underneath, which needs to be addressed. So if you are sort of having symptoms like this and they persist for a longer period of time, I do feel like it's a good idea to seek professional advice, so that especially it's a lot easier to address it before it gets so bad, because what we end up doing is we sort of ignore these things until it gets completely out of hand. But it's a lot more easy to manage it, reverse, whatever, if we just get the right help at the right time.
From a nutritional standpoint, what are some of the foods that can help balance our hormones, and how do we kind of incorporate in our daily diets?
Right. So, diet does play a huge role in your hormonal health, like sleep, exercise, diet, stress management. All of these play a huge role in our hormonal health. Diet, of course, you're choosing your meals like 3 times a day. So it is every time you sit down to eat is a choice to sort of, help improve your overall health, right? So it does play a huge, huge role in your hormonal health. And there are a couple of really simple things that you can do to get started and to, see positive changes. So one is just making sure we are adding enough healthy fats into the diet. I think especially in the 90s and 2000s, there was this whole low fat fad, and that sort of continued a little bit into even today, where people are a little afraid of fats and saying that it's very high calorie, could make you put on weight, etc. But really, fats are so important for hormones because they're the building blocks of hormones, proteins and fats. So it's very important
Okay.
that we get enough fats. You want to make sure you're eating lots of omega-3 rich foods, nuts, seeds, olive oil, avocado, all of these things, just making sure every single meal has some sort of a good fat in there is very important. Right. Then the second thing is protein, just making sure every single meal that you're having has a good amount of lean protein. Right. And the other thing with both fat and protein is that it also helps to balance your blood sugar levels with any meal. So even it helps with your, just generally you can see a direct improvement in how you feel when you start balancing your plate out. And the third thing that you can do is making sure you're eating enough fiber. Fiber is very important. Most people get about 50% of the fiber they should be eating. For men, you need about 35 grams of fiber per day, and for women, about 25 to 30 grams. How you can increase your fiber is just eating more veggies, more fruits, more whole grains, more nuts, seeds. All of them have some amount of fiber. Oats have a good amount of fiber, brown rice, even white rice has a reasonable amount of fiber. So having all of these things, and veggies are great. So, having basically a varied nutrient dense diet, which is minimally processed. This alone, you will
Got
see a
it.
huge improvement in how you feel and your hormonal health, right? So as people say, eat the rainbow, it's a very good thing because you're getting a lot of diversity in there. And, just outside of that, make sure to sort of limit to the extent possible processed food, because ultra processed food, because just eating out and eating like fast food, it can be very convenient these days. It is just so easy. It's become just so easy to access all this food because it's at the tip of our fingers. Your address, your card details, your phone number, everything is like pre this thing, just one click and then food comes, right? So
Yeah.
um it's become just too easy for us to opt for these highly processed foods. So try to make sure that you're eating at least 80% of your food should be wholesome, minimally processed food coming from, whole food sources. I think one of the most common deficiencies that I see in people, like I think out of like 9 out of 10 clients that I work with have a vitamin D deficiency. So vitamin D is a very common deficiency, even though we live, in a fairly like sunny place. We don't go out as
Yeah.
much. We
Yeah.
wear sunscreen, and also it's about our body synthesizing it properly. So there are a lot of different things which can uh, affect your vitamin D levels. So you want to always, of course, consult a doctor, get your blood test done, and if you are deficient, you want to make sure you're supplementing. It's very important for hormonal health. Again, another one a common deficiency, another one is B12 that most people again have. Magnesium is one that I see often. So magnesium levels, can deplete due to the level of stress and everything that we have in our lives as well. So, you want to make sure you have enough magnesium and eat more magnesium rich foods. So, whether it's dark leafy veggies, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, white sesame, all of these have a good amount of magnesium. So, you can just, sort of add more of these foods. Like I said, a diverse diet will ensure all these things are there as well. So, this will overall help you with hormonal balance.
Could you tell me how does lifestyle like sleep, stress, and exercise could affect somebody's hormonal balance? And what are slight adjustments that we can do to, make some difference?
Mhm. Yeah. So, like all three that you said definitely affect your hormonal balance, right? So they all play a big role. So I'll go one by one. So one is stress. Now stress really, as a the whole biological reason we have stress is so that when we were in the wild, we see a tiger or a lion and we can sort of activate a fight or flight response, right? Now we have a flight or flight response all the time for like deadlines, meetings, and throughout the day for so many little things, right? So like we're a little late to work, the traffic stresses us out. There's so many things. So it's like chronic stress. And chronic stress, when improperly managed, stress generally, when improperly managed, can lead to hormonal imbalance because one, it elevates the level of cortisol in the body, right? And that alone can have a cascade of effects and affect a lot of different other hormones in the body as well. So stress management is very, very important. It's absolutely crucial, and a lot of us tend to neglect it. So, before things go south, I feel that we all should be engaging in some form of stress management, even if it's just 10-15 minutes a day. So, a couple of suggestions would be one, meditation. So, it doesn't need to be some very spiritual practice, just sitting down. The thing is with meditation, it brings you to the present. So, you're not thinking about oh my God, I screwed this up, in the past. Nor are you thinking about, oh my God, I have this coming up, right? A deadline that I have to work on. So you're just in the present moment and there's little to be stressed about in the right now. So that's how meditation helps. So if you can do 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, 5 to 10 minutes in the evening, that's what I personally do. And this can have a huge improvement in your overall mood, your focus, even your sleep. Because before you go to sleep, if you're meditating for some time, you're sort of, separating your stress and then getting into a sort of sleep mode, right? So it really helps. Another thing you can do is walking in nature. Nature in general, greenery has been shown to improve our mental health and improve our stress management and reduce our stress. So if you post your work in the evening, you can go for a nice stroll. If you have a garden, if you have a park nearby or in your society, just walking around can really help. Like not while on your phone, just you should just be engaged. You can even do like a walking meditation. So that's a win-win. So you can just have your earphones in and it will help you sort of be more aware in the present moment. And you're also getting a walk. So it's a win-win. Deep breathing can also help. So in between work, let's say you're really stressed and you just don't have that much time, you can do a couple of rounds of deep breathing, and that can also help you to just regulate yourself a little bit, right? Then the next thing that you said was sleep. So sleep again, like we discussed, is huge, very important for our health. So as you can see, cortisol can directly affect our sleep quality as well, and your sleep or lack thereof can affect your cortisol as well. Because if you, I don't know if you have ever observed this for yourself, but when you are low on sleep, you're much more likely the next day to feel stressed as well. Your stress regulation is
Definitely. Yeah.
right. Yeah, your regulation also gets out of whack. So both of them are interlinked and you have to take care of both. So make sure you're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Another thing is, most of us are on our devices. No matter how much we hear this, we all know this, but in the night we are sitting on our devices till the day, like till the moment, it just drops on our face and we sleep off. Till that moment we're on the device. So at least 30 minutes, a minimum. Before sleep, you should move your devices, set it aside, so that there's no, the blue light does affect your sleep. So what I like to do is, while I still use my phone to some extent, I have a blue light blocker on my phone that can help to some extent. And I don't use tube lights and stuff in the evening. I have like ambient yellow lighting. So this can overall just help you. Light is a signal for your body basically to induce sleep and for the right hormone, which is melatonin, to rise in the body, which is what helps you sleep. So light can have a huge impact on it. So what I like to do is I like to sleep by 11. So around from 7 or 8, I dim all my lights and it's just yellow light in the house. So these are some things that can help with it. Another thing is just making sure, like I said, with meditation, you can, meditate or do some deep breathing before you go to sleep. Because if you're really stressed out, it's very hard with your mind racing to fall asleep. So you want to, avoid, maybe walking too close to your bedtime and stuff like that, so that you are getting good quality sleep as well, right? So another thing is also that if with lack of sleep, what happens is that, I mean, this is something that I see with clients and with people who are wanting fat loss, is that when your sleep is low, your hunger hormones are also dysregulated. So your hunger hormone, generally, you will find that if you're very stressed or very sleep deprived, you tend to be hungrier and you tend to make worse food choices, and that is because your hunger hormones are a little bit out of whack as well. So it can lead to an increase in appetite, and it can lead to just more emotional eating as well. So that's also another reason why, if you have some fitness goals, it can be very important to make sure you're getting good sleep. And it's also very important for recovery, right, from exercise.
Right.
Yeah, and then the final one was exercise. So yes, exercise also is something that can help regulate hormonal health. I like to say movement more than exercise, because exercise is something we tend to do 4 days a week or 3 days a week, and like There's like 180 hours
Yeah.
in a week, and four hours is very little. If you're doing zero, 4 hours is good. It's a starting point. But in general, we need to have more movement throughout a day, especially because we're so sedentary. So getting some extent of steps, stretching between work. So if you have a very if you have a job where you sit for a very long period of time, get up in between, get a couple of steps in, stretch a little bit. All of these can really help. Strength train. I think strength training is incredibly helpful for women, especially because it helps to build muscle mass and it can help regulate your hormonal health. It's not too high intensity either. So I feel that strength training can have huge benefits for women. And I do feel that we should be strength training 3 to 4 times a week minimum. Yeah.
All right.
But
All right.
otherwise, also on the other hand, over exercising is not good. So you always have to make sure you're getting enough rest and recovery at the same time.
So, Namita, to sum it up, what should my day look like if I want to, let's say, rebalance my hormones naturally?
So I can share some general things that you can do that will really help. So first thing, your day starts the previous night really with your sleep. I hope by now I've been able to share how important your sleep is. So you want to make sure you're getting a good 7 to 9 hours of sleep. This can depend upon your personal this thing, but in general, you should wake up feeling very refreshed and energized and not groggy, tired, exhausted, right? Um, and another thing is wake up and don't look at the phone, go outside, get some sunlight, right? So that again, you're putting your phone in front of your face first, you're looking at your emails in the morning, it's gonna again create a little bit of a stress response, which you don't want, right? So get some sunlight in the morning, meditate for 5 to 10 minutes. Then after this, look at your phone, right? Eat a nice protein and fiber rich breakfast in the morning with a good amount of fats, good amount of carbs, a good balanced breakfast within about 2 hours of waking up. Food again can help regulate your circadian rhythm. So it's important to eat breakfast. I see a lot of people skipping breakfast. When it's possibly going to help them a lot better if they do have breakfast. Eat fruits and veggies daily. Don't neglect those. Have 3 to 4 servings of fruits and veggies across the day so that you're getting a lot of these micronutrients, antioxidants, all of that. Make sure you're adding healthy fats to your meals. Don't skip meals. Don't neglect your hunger, right? Because sometimes when you end up skipping meals, you end up overeating for another. Um, Skipping breakfast can affect your hormonal health again, like I said. So just make sure you're eating enough throughout the day. Under eating can definitely affect your hormonal health as well. So you want to make sure you're eating enough throughout the day. If you have a sedentary job, like I said before, make sure you get up, get a couple of steps in every hour or two, get some stretching done, in between if you can. Then get some workouts in, at least 3 to 4 workouts in throughout your week. So I would say 4 is a good number to get started with. In the evening, you want to make sure you're winding down, you're de-stressing, you're not working until like 5 minutes before your bedtime. You want to make sure you're switching your devices and getting some time to yourself to meditate or to just deep breathe, read. Getting some me time basically will help you de-stress. You can even have something like chamomile tea to help you just calm down, chill before you get to bed, and keep your phone away in the night so that you're not having blue light right in your face so you fall asleep. I think these are some things that generally can help a lot with respect to hormonal health and rebalancing.
Namita, can we talk about some simple ways to navigate our menstrual cycles?
Yes. So I think the word cycle syncing is fairly well known to most people these days, and it has a lot of benefits as well. As somebody I used to be someone who used to think that cycle syncing is not necessary at all, and I mean, I would just think that I have the same hormonal makeup as a man, but it's really not how it is. And the more I learn, the more I, sort of started doing this for myself, and I've seen a lot of benefits with it as well. So just to give you a rough idea of how it works, is that our menstrual cycle is around for most people between 28 to 35 days, and it has 4 different phases. So I'll take you through the 4 different phases and what you can do in each of these to better work with your hormone rather than against it, right? The first one is your menstrual phase, which is when you have your period. So day 1 to 3 or 4 of your period is usually your menstrual phase. This overlaps a little bit with the next one, which is a follicular phase. But yeah, this is called the menstrual phase. At this point, because we are bleeding, it's important to eat iron-rich food. You want to prioritize rest, because your energy levels in general can be a little lower. And if you try to sort of don't do any high intensity stuff at this point, too low intensity. Sometimes people can really benefit from doing things like yoga, walks, and stuff like that. I'm not saying completely be sedentary and don't do anything, but prioritize lower intensity stuff. And it's also a good idea to. We generally tend to feel a little colder during our menstruation, so it's a good idea to eat some nice warming foods as well during this time. The next phase is our follicular phase, which is for most people from about day 3 or 4 to about day 14 or 15. So this is where we have a good amount of energy. Our energy levels come back up. We feel a lot better about ourselves. We, just we feel great in our body. And this is a good time to do more intense exercise. You can eat, amp up. You can go back to eating your whatever, like cold meals and stuff like that, because your body also feels pretty okay with that. You can push yourself a little more in terms of your workouts, your activity levels, and stuff like that. This is where I like lifting a lot more heavy. I feel I can lift a lot more heavy, and I do. So it's a good time for that. And if you want to, if this is something that you do or you're familiar with, and you want to try things like fasting, this is a good time to do it. Not when you're on your period. Then after this comes your ovulation. Ovulation also is just very similar in terms of your energy levels to your follicular phase, and your nutritional needs can also be very similar. Your energy levels are pretty good at this point as well. Then comes the luteal phase, which is your follicular your ovulation lasts for 1 to 2 days, and then you have your luteal phase, which comes right after ovulation and stays on till you get your period. So in the first half of your luteal phase, you still have fairly good energy levels, and your nutrition and everything can look and your activity levels can also look very similar to your follicular and ovulatory phase. This and afterwards, after the first half of your luteal phase, so which means basically the first maybe 1 week before your period, there your energy levels can tend to start dipping a little more, and it's very normal at this time to crave a little more, have more cravings and want more food as well, because our basal metabolic rate increases a little bit every month at this time, right? So it is normal to want to eat more. Eat enough carbs at this time, especially. Make sure you're eating enough. Don't try to fast. Don't do any of that. Focus on magnesium-rich foods, sufficient fiber in your meals and everything, because this can making sure that you're eating healthy throughout your cycle will help make sure your periods are a lot more manageable. So your luteal phase can really set you up for a good, painless, or at least a period which is not very uncomfortable, right? So, and having enough carbs, eating all your meals at the right time, all of this can help you manage your cravings as well, because a lot of us know that we get menstrual PMS cravings and everything, right? Then what I would suggest in terms of activity levels is just to tone down your activity to some extent the week before. So I still like to strength train, but I choose to lift lighter weights, and I take a lot more break, and I don't, I take more rest as well. Just generally, I have more rest days as well from my late luteal phase to till my period is over, so that, or at least in my follicular phase starts, so that I, during that, in that what 8 to 9 days when my energy is a little lower, I respect my body and I listen to my body and sort of tone down my workout as well. So this can vary a little bit for different women, because a person with 28-day cycle and a person with a 35-day cycle may not have the exact same days and everything, but they all still have the same phases. We all still have the same phases. But based on how your body is feeling, always listen to your body. Don't, push yourself too much when you're on your period and stuff like that. Try to take it down a notch. It's just a couple of days, and you want to sort of sync with your body and respect what your body is saying, rather than sort of neglect and ignore that and just go at it, right? So yeah, I would just say listen to your body and go with these 4 cycles. Four different phases, and see how you feel for a couple of months. I feel that you might actually benefit a lot from it.
Namita, can you tell me some simple things we can do to improve the quality of our sleep?
So one thing is to keep your phone away 30 to 60 minutes before bed, so that the blue light does not affect the quality of your sleep. Second thing is to have a de-stressing or unwinding routine at the end of the day, so that you're able to leave your work stress and life stress behind, and able to actually gently ease yourself into sleep, right? What I also like to do is make sure that around after 7 or 8, I tone down the lights in my room, so that it's mostly yellow light and it's dimmer light, so that it does not again affect the quality of my sleep. Because light, having harsh light during the night can really affect where we can sleep, right? Meditating, doing some deep breathing, all of this can really help. things like chamomile tea or lavender, these sort of gentle teas can also help a lot with de-stressing and helping you fall asleep faster as well and get good quality sleep. Another thing is just to make sure that the temperature in your room is pretty good. If it's too hot or if it's too cold, it can be really hard to get quality sleep, especially because you'll end up waking up in the middle of the night, to change things. And, when you wake up, can disrupt your sleep as well, right? So these are some really simple things you can start with. Another one that you can do is in the morning, make sure you're going out, getting some light so that your circadian rhythm is being set for the day, so that in the morning you're getting good light, and as your day progresses in the evening, you're dimming your lights, you're cutting out that harsh lighting and everything, so that you're signaling to your body it's time for you to go to sleep.
All right. Thank you so much, Namita. I had a lovely time chatting with you.
Likewise, thank you for having me.